welcome to Candy Shoppe Yarns, where everything is sugar-free and high in fiber. I'm Deborah, your confectioner extraordinaire. I'm the owner of Candy Shoppe Yarns, and this is the ultimate destination for knitting and crochet enthusiasts. I invite you to join the friendly community of crafters who have a sweet tooth for fun by hitting the subscribe button. So let's get started on episode 16. It is August 11th, 2023, and today we are going to talk about knitting, sewing, no crochet. I've got life update, I've got some happy mail and new things, and I've got shop news. So I thought we would just dive right in with life update. And so I mentioned previously that I had been making clothes for my daughter to go on a Pioneer Trek experience. And she did that this last week, and it was a very hard but great experience. I took this picture of her early in the morning as we were dashing out the door, and thought it was kind of funny because she looked grumpy. She wasn't grumpy, but it was too early to smile, honestly. And also it fits the Pioneer vibe of they didn't smile in photos. I have a short little video clip that'll play of her here. They're walking up or pushing up this, you can't tell, this steep hill. They had just finished coming up this steep hill where the women, they pulled the hand cart, and it was reenacting a time when the men were gone to war and the women were now pulling everything across the plains with their children and the struggles that they had. But it was a really good experience for them to kind of just experience a small amount of what some of our ancestors had gone through and experienced, some of the hardships, but also the joys. They had my brain just went blank, a dance where they danced specific kind of dances. I can't remember. Anyways, they had a dance one of the nights that was really fun. My daughter took her ukulele and played the ukulele, and they would sing along on the trail. So anyways, it was a good experience. So while she was gone, it was just my husband and I. It is so strange that we've gone from having 5 people in our home to very often just me. It was just me a lot of the time. Everybody is gone and I will be here. And so I asked my husband if he wanted to take a day off and we would just spend the day together. I took a day off, he took a day off, and we had a full day date, which was really fun. We went to a movie, like first thing, the very first showing, and then went to lunch, and then we went to Lagoon, our local amusement park. I've talked about that before. And while we were at Lagoon, we looked for more of the little signs I talked about last week, and I got really good at finding them. We found a whole bunch. Some were better than others. Some were kind of like, yeah, not really funny, but it was just a fun thing to go on a hunt for that. And the weather was perfect, and there were 0 wait time pretty much on almost every ride. I mean, max we waited 5 minutes for a ride. No, I think one of them we waited 10, but most of them we just walked right on. Funny thing is, my favorite ride is the teacup ride. Now at Disneyland they have teacup ride, that's my favorite there, and at Lagoon they have one. And it's really funny, at Lagoon it's in the little kiddie land area, and everybody in line are toddlers. And then it's me and my husband. And the only adults that are in line are there to put their children on the ride and then go wait on the side. And I'm on the ride, and the adults are standing around the outside just watching their kids and seeing me just having a blast, just enjoying it. I think it's a very relaxing ride. because you just kind of slowly go around in a circle with music, and it's just lovely. So oh, it was fun though. And then I went back to Lagoon yesterday. We have season passes, and I went, it's going to be next week. Everybody goes back to school, and so their schedule changes to where they're only open on weekends, and I just don't want to go on weekends. It's crazy, and there's already enough to do on weekends. So I went yesterday thinking, okay, that'll be the last time that I go for this season, most likely, and nobody could go. And I thought, I'm just going to go by myself because they have a scavenger hunt, and I'm going to do the scavenger hunt. I found most of it, but I got a really bad headache. I was there for like 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. And I ate lunch, and I found, out of the 21 signs there are, I found, I think 16 or 17. So I'll have to finish it up next year. But it was really fun, and I got my walking in for the day for sure. I walked 4.8 miles in those. I started at 11:30, left at 2:30, so 3 hours. So in those 3 hours, so that was pretty good, I think. Oh, and one more thing. I saw my jaw specialist. If you have been watching for some time, 6 months ago, I started, well, actually, it was longer than that, but I think I told you about it 6 months ago. I started a multiple year-long process of working on my jaw, bite, all sorts of things with my jaw and my upper neck. Anyways, it's going to take years, but I have a jaw appliance that I wear. I don't wear when I record podcast, and that would need to be in for about a year. And while I see an upper cervical specialist, and I do physical therapy. And when I saw my jaw specialist, it's been 6 months, they said, you are the ideal patient. You do exactly what we say and more. You're going to be done with this step and with us in the next like 6 to 8 weeks. So I graduate from that part early. Some good news finally when it comes to this. And then I move on to the next step of the whole process. I will be getting braces, I believe, and wearing this jaw appliance. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know, but we'll figure it out just like we figured out the rest. And after a little while, the jaw appliance comes out, the braces stay in, and then we have to reconstruct. Well, the whole thing is reconstructing my bite and my jaw without surgery. But then I do implants that I don't have some teeth. I have to wait till I get through all of this part before I can do the implants, and then we have to reconstruct like some teeth so that they line up. Things don't line up. I can't chew very easily because things don't touch, and so it's a long saga. The good news is I'm a model patient. I know, it's amazing, but but I get to move along, so I'm very happy about that. And my neck has been staying in place. Everybody's excited to hear this, I know. I'm excited to share it because I have been working with different doctors and chiropractors and specialists for a long time, and my neck has been a problem my whole life. And it will never hold and stay in place, and it's staying. I'm so happy. Okay, let's move on to finished objects. I have a few. This first one is, well, the first two are a little bit of a, maybe we could say a cheat finished object, and I'll tell you why. But let's start with this beauty right here. Okay. Look at my fragmentation shawl. It is huge. I have been working on this. Well, I started it right when the pattern came out, but I think it's been a long time. Probably 4 or 5 months. I don't know. I don't know. And I wish that I had had it done much earlier because I could have used it a lot. Now look, it looks fabulous with my dress, I think. Fabulous with my dress. Here's the cheat. The reason I'm calling this a finished object, I'll tell you in a second. Still on the needles. I only have 3 stripes left. 3 stripes and the bind off. That's it. I did not want to bring it back for another episode, and I will finish this today. So I'm like, it's finished. It's finished. I'm going to finish this today while I'm editing and uploading, and it will be done. So I just thought I'm going to include it in my finished object section. But this morning I knit this stripe, and I did that while, you know, after I got up, but I was in my pajamas, in my nightgown, and I looked down and I thought, I obviously really like these colors. Let me show you why. Here's my nightgown. Let me grab it. It's inside out and turned funny. Okay. Look at this. Okay. These are the same colors. Just a second. Here we go. They're the same colors. And it also looks great with this, what I'm wearing, I showed you. So obviously they're good colors. I like them. They're good colors for me. So I almost wore this to record so that I could show you with this. I thought maybe I won't wear my nightgown to record a podcast. I mean, it looks dressier than a lot of things most people wear, so I guess it wouldn't seem strange. I actually have a quote unquote nightgown. I mean, I bought it in that area that I wear as a dress. So so I weighed the yarn that I have used already, that I have finished, like all of the balls that I've finished using. Let me pull them out. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this to see how much I had left. And they are on different bases, and some are a little bit thinner and some are a little bit thicker. So I knew that they would be used a little bit unevenly, but with these 4 that I've finished using completely, I have between 33.5 grams and 42 grams left on each skein. So that's a good chunk. But so if anybody, you know, knits with my exact gauge and uses same kind of yarns, 70 grams will do you if you're going to use leftovers or scraps. I could have just added maybe 2 more stripes or 3 more stripes at the bottom of each wedge and used up more yarn. I could have done fewer wedges, made it a lot smaller and used half the yarn. You know, it's very adaptable, but I think it's so fun. It's so fun. I went and ordered a different needle because I think it calls for like a 42-inch cable or some 42-inch needle. And I just found that that was so obnoxious to work with, especially for these first wedges, these first stripes, because you only have a few stitches on it and then this long needle. It was very annoying. So I'm using a 24-inch needle, and at the end it's like exactly the right size. I'm glad I did that. And then weaving in the ends, I have done various things. I have done it where I have knit over, it's not the weave in Steven, it's a little bit similar, but it's where you kind of weave over your end as you knit across. And I would do that with one strand, and then the other strand I would kind of duplicate stitch like the traditional weaving in method. And then I tried just holding both strands and kind of knitting over both strands at once. I'm trying to find some examples where you could see it easily. So right here, I don't know if you can see, I knit over one strand. I knit over the peachy strand, and then the green one I wove in separately. And then I got sick of doing that, and I went to doing both strands at once. Where's the second half? Okay, over here is where we'll see that. And so like right here, I don't know if you can see it as well, I would just hold both strands and knit over those together. Oh, you could see it better here. It just didn't look as tidy. And so the last wedge, I went to not knitting over any of the ends and weaving them all in individually. And it is much more tidy. I don't feel like it was really time consuming because I did it as I went. I would knit a couple of like little stripes in the wedge, and then I would weave in the ends. And I just did that all along the way. But I figured that for especially this last wedge that, you know, would be on the outside that could flip open, I wanted it to be as tidy as it could be. Now, this is a looser drapier gauge, and I was having issues with my ends poking through to the front. So I mentioned this before, but after I did, I think I had knit maybe 3-4 wedges when I showed you this before, and I was working on the 5th, maybe. But I thought it bears repeating that I just left, after I wove in the ends, I left the little tails, and then after I got all of it done today, I just laid it out and I used my, this is so old, I don't even know if they sell this anymore. This glue, it's a fabric glue, and it's clear and flexible and a permanent bond, and you can wash it. I just put the tiniest dot, I just like touched the tip so that it had like just the tiniest bit of glue where the strand emerged out of the knitting. And then after they all dried, I cut it flush. And so it's woven in, and I glued that little end. And so now hopefully it will never flip through to the front. And it's also clear, flexible, soft, like I'm trying to feel it. Like if I really go looking for it, I could feel the spots, but where I wove them in. But I think it's just fine. So I did that on all of my ends. Oh, that's so fun. I love it. Okay, so I have 3 more stripes and the I-cord bind off. And while knitting this, I just spent time slowing down my knitting. Like I just kind of got tired of having it be a race, and my hands get sore, and I kind of talked about this last time, how I knit, and it changes depending on what weight of yarn I'm knitting, how big the project is, like kind of what it is. Socks I still knit a little bit faster, and I flick, and it's easier on my hands to do that. But something like this, I don't, and I just kind of enjoyed the process and just slowed way down. And I'm really happy that I did, because I enjoyed the process of this all the way through. Just the whole thing. And it's just garter stitch all the way through. So it's pretty mindless, so I could do that while watching TV with my husband, but it wasn't one that was easy to take with me. It wasn't a really great on-the-go knitting project unless it's somewhere that I could kind of like park for a little while and spread out. So, oh, this is what I was going to show you. These are the yarns that I used. So I colored in, let me show you this first. I colored in the chart to see if I would like the colors and the color placement of it and the patterning. I didn't finish it. I just wanted to get an idea of that, of if I would like it. And I liked it there, and it turned out the same. Wait, let's see. Just a minute. Let's see if it's a good representation. Okay, here we go. We have what do you think? Is that a good representation? Okay, and so then I made a color card so that I would always know, because it would say color A, do this. After a little while, you know, I didn't need it at all, but it was kind of fun to have because it's also my record of what yarns I used. I wrote on the back that this one is Berried by Willamette, like berries, fruit. Willamette, that's not how you say it. I know it's not. That's okay. Willamette Valley Wool Co. And then this one is Spectraspecs by the Yarnbrary. This one is Girl on Fire by the Yarnbrary. This one is Seed by Hedgehog Fibres. The lighting looks funny now. This peachy one is Yarn Cafe Creations. Oh, the colorway is Grapefruit. And the green one is Key Lime by Candy Shoppe Yarns. And the last one is Shutter Snap by Yarn Cafe Creations. So I'll just put this in my project journal, and I have that ready to go. So I'm gonna finish those last 3 stripes. The whole thing will be done. I don't think I even am gonna bother blocking it. Garter grows so much and it's squishy and it's drapey, and I don't see that it needs any blocking, so I'm not going to. It's great. But what I would wish I had this for was for the first part of summer and spring, like sitting outside. I just needed something when I was sitting out back in my backyard paradise to help keep the chill off, like a little old lady. I mean, kind of like a blanket, but just over my shoulders, like a shawl is meant for traditionally. So that's what I would have used it for. This is not honestly the kind of thing that I would wear to style and wear out, but this is how I would use it, just needing something to throw over my shoulders when I'm sitting there knitting, reading, working on something, like a little old lady, to go along with my neck cooling fan and my reading light. What else could I add to that? To really round it out. Well, I've got reading glasses, but I don't usually wear those. I always joke that I was a granny when I was 12. I had the heart of a granny when I was 12. And I'm finally coming into my full glory of being a granny, because now I am one. My granddaughter calls me Minga. Her mom says, so my daughter Ella got married this spring, and her husband, he had a daughter from a previous marriage, and so my granddaughter Alex, her mother says that Minga came from watching Encanto, and at the end Mirabelle is talking to her grandma and says Minga or something, but it doesn't really mean grandma. But then she's just been saying that ever since, so I think it's sweet, it's cute. Okay, next finished object. Another cheat finished object. I'll tell you why. Oh, I didn't grab my thing. I gotta get it. Okay, what I needed to get was a childhood favorite toy. So I remember this fabulous Barbie. I have the outfit. This is Dream Glow Barbie. And she has this boa or wrap. And the fabric has these little stars and they glow in the dark. I remember the fascination of this dress when I was little because of those glow in the dark stars. And when I got this as an adult to do the Barbie collection, I was just the same. I was like holding it under the light and then going into a dark room and like, ooh, I just remember exactly how I felt seeing it when I was little. This is one of my favorites. This, the Loving You Barbie and Peaches and Cream, those were my absolute favorites. And I thought, I want to make myself a fabulous Barbie outfit inspired by this. So I came across some amazing fabric. I talked about this last time, and it is this pink tulle with glittery hearts. So not stars, but hearts. I also love hearts, and they glitter. So they're not glowing in the dark, but they still glitter and shimmer. I thought, I'm gonna make myself a fabulous Barbie outfit, but I don't want to make like a dress like this. I wouldn't wear it. I want something that I'd actually wear. So I thought, well, I'm definitely gonna need something to line this with. And after looking and looking and looking, I found this fabric to line it with. And I decided on this pattern, this jumpsuit, because it still is wide, flowy, but pants, so that's more usable than a full-on dress. And then I wanted to shorten the sleeves because long sleeves with the tulle, I knew that that would really bug me, so I thought I'll make shorter, puffier sleeves like this. So I spent some time, and it took me forever because of all the things going on in life, but anyways, I made it. But I didn't finish the sleeves because I'm kind of like, nope, don't like it. Why bother? So it doesn't have the same fabulousness effect because I lined it, but the pieces don't stand out enough. Like the fabric doesn't flow away from the other, like the tulle doesn't flow away from the lining. It just looks like one fabric, so it doesn't have the same effect. Now the legs, it does a little bit more, but not enough really. But the biggest problem is, this is why I still thought, well, it's still fun. I obviously like bright colors, so that's fine. The biggest problem was that the weight of the bottom pulls down so much on this waist that it doesn't have a nice shape to it. So, like when I wear this, I don't want it to pull down straight like that. It looks frumpy. I want it to sit up on my waist and kind of do this thing. So I could tighten the waist so it'll try and hold it in more, but then that's going to be really uncomfortable, having that tight enough to really hold it there, to keep it from pulling down like that, because this is what it does right now, and it just looks frumpy. Like this waistband looks frumpy. I just think it looks unflattering. I mean, maybe a sparkly hot pink gold glitter is unflattering in general on a woman my age, which I could see past that if the shape was nice. It looks nice right here, but on, no. So when I did that, I'm like, I'm not even bothering finishing the sleeves because it's just depressing, and I didn't hem the bottom yet because I, needed to see the length. We'll see. I'd have to unpick this zipper, which would be a nightmare to unpick because I put it on before putting the zipper in, and I'm like, yeah, that fits, that's good. Then I put the zipper on, and you can really tell how it fits, and I didn't like it. So I could unpick the zipper and, oh, actually, I wouldn't have to. I have a seam in the waistband here. I could unpick that seam and pull out the waistband. No. I could do that and tighten it and see if that makes it any better, and then finish these sleeves. I was debating on whether or not the sleeves would be like this, where it has a casing right at the bottom, or if it would be ruffled and instead it would have a casing higher up with a ruffle on the end, which that's more how I was leaning towards making it. Anyways, there's my thought. I'm just putting it aside and we'll see for now, but it did not reach my Barbie dream expectations of having just this fabulous experience of this, I don't know, what I envisioned. I guess that's what happens when you're a 40-plus-year-old woman trying to dress like a Barbie from the 1980s. That's just how it is. Okay. Next up, I have to show you first of all this cute little container. It doesn't hinge, the lid comes off. There's a place that I like to go. Locally, it's a restaurant supply company, but they have some fun containers. I went to get some stuff for making some wedding cupcakes for today. I'm going to a wedding this evening and they needed some allergy-friendly cupcakes. Anyways, so when I was there, I came across this. In here are the tiniest little baby socks for my grandson. So he has the longest feet. They are so long. When I was born, my mom said that they had to peel away my nose, my hands, and my feet in order to find the rest of me, and he is the same, except for his nose wasn't long. He has very long fingers, just like I do. My fingers are as long as my husband's. I just have long hands. And so he doesn't fit into any baby socks because they're too short or they're too wide. So I thought I wasn't planning on knitting any baby socks until winter time. I thought he's not going to need them in the summer, but he does because where they live, their air conditioning is very cold and they keep him bundled up because it's quite cold. So I thought I'm just going to have to knit him some socks. And then I didn't have any yarn. I only have bright colored Barbie yarns because that's what I love. Well, I have softer pastel-y ones, but nothing that would work for baby socks. So I sent out a message to my local knitting group. We were going to meet that evening, and I said, if any of you have little scraps of leftover yarn that you would be willing to donate for me to make baby socks, please bring it. And so I was telling them the kind of colors that my daughter likes, and they brought in all sorts. And I had my daughter was there, came with me to knit night, and she picked out colors and things that she liked. And I've got some more in here. And I started knitting, and I was surprised at how much yarn it takes. It takes more than I thought. I thought, oh, 8-9 grams will be plenty for a pair of baby socks, newborn baby socks. No, it took like 12 to 14 grams. I think this pair was like 12.5 and this pair was 14. I did add 2 extra rounds on the foot and 1 more on the leg than this one because after trying them on, they fit perfectly, but we thought, let's give them some more room. So the sock pattern is Perfect Newborn Socks by Tabitha Gandee. It was a free pattern on Ravelry. And I'm surprised at how much yarn it took, but also it took me a long time to knit these. But as we've talked about, I'm not really a fast knitter. I can be faster, but I just choose not to be. But they're so cute, so adorable. And so I've made 2 pair, and I've started the next one. And I thought it was fun because here was one of the scraps that somebody brought, which I was thinking, oh, I thought I had this yarn in my stash, and I don't. It was leftovers that I donated previously from my husband's socks from my spruce colorway. And that's what I was looking for in my stash. And they brought it, so I thought that was really fun. This one I have cast on 4 more stitches than the pattern called for. I decided I better just start knitting larger because he's at a point now, he's 3 weeks old, he's gonna just start growing quite a bit. So, and they still are just so tiny and squishy. I mean, it looks like this looks so funny and ridiculous, but I mean, look how much these will stretch. A lot. So I knew I'd need even more yarn, so I'm trying to make sure I have like 16 grams of yarn. But the socks are so tiny that doing a heel flap and a toe in a different color wouldn't use a ton of yarn. So you still need a good amount for the body of it. And I could do a cuff, but it's still just the same ribbing all the way down. It's 2x2 ribbing all the way down. So I can do, you know, I've got some yarns that there aren't enough of. One that I thought I could stripe, that I could do, you know, 2 rows of one color, 2 rows of the next, 2, you know, and alternate those. It's kind of funny, as a yarn dyer, I'm like, I don't have any yarn that I need for this. Now I could go dye it, but I didn't want to have to pull out all of the dye stuff to dye some little scraps. So here's one set that's really fun, and they are 5-gram minis. So this is one where I could do stripes. This is what set one of my friends brought, and it's by narwhalknits.com. And it's called Blue Series 1, and Ella really liked this, so I'm gonna go into this next. So she really likes muted colors. Here's another one by Dragon Horde Yarn. She likes muted, more earthy, toned down colors. This is, she does like green, but this one is quite dark, I think, which she's fine with, but she really liked this one. Okay, so I will probably just be knitting baby socks now, just whenever. That will be my on-the-go knitting projects. And I just thought we'd get a little container to put them in because that would be fun for her to have a little bin of baby socks. Love it. Oh, this project bag that I'm keeping it in, it's this tiny little one, perfect for newborn socks. And this is by Black Pearl Magic. Love this. Okay, that is all of my finished objects, and that was a work in progress. I have one work in progress besides that, and that is my socks that I am knitting with Poolside Paradise, my Poolside Paradise sock set. And I wanted a really good textured sock, and so I started kind of just creating my own pattern that I'm calling Making Waves, and I plan on releasing this one. I showed this last time, and I didn't get very far because I was working on baby socks and on Fragmentation Shawl, but I'm glad I only got this far because, let me show you, I'm not a huge fan of pooling. So I will do a lot to avoid, well, pooling is okay if it pools in a nice design. Like a lot of times pooling will spiral up a leg and that looks great. I like that. But if it flashes, and that's more of what this is, flashing, where it's, instead of creating a pattern with it, it's just kind of blobs here and there. So here is where it flashed with some of the colors, and then down here. So on the bottom of the foot, it ended up kind of striping, alternating with the teal and the pink. And then on the front, all of the like yellows and creams and other speckles collected. That would be okay. I would be okay with that, except for the fact that then when I switched on the foot from having the textured pattern going all the way around to only being on the top and not the bottom, that now I get a different pattern. So now it is pooling and it's creating a spiral of color up. So let me show you. You can see right here, you can see this dark stripe that will then, oh, let's see, where is it going? Then it continues up here and around, and it's spiraling up, alternating with this. I like that if it was the whole sock. I don't like it where this is not pooling or flashing. Then it flashes, then it pools. So I don't like that, and I decided I was going to just hold off on doing anything until I showed you, you know, kind of what it was doing. So I decided what I think would look best with this yarn is to do something that would either just stay the same all the way down. So like the front of the leg has the texture and the back doesn't. And so that could continue down all the way down the foot. The other thing is I could, instead of doing a heel flap and gusset, which typically when you do that, when you have variegated skeins, you're going to be more likely to get flashing because your stitch count changes. And I know that, but I like a heel flap and gusset. It fits nicely. I could do a short row heel, and then that would not interrupt the stitch count here. So I could do that all the way down, or I could do plain vanilla, just stockinette all the way down, because what I want is something that's gonna let this yarn shine. So I like this stitch pattern a lot, and I think that this is a great one that I will use on another sock, but I'm going to rip this out completely. I'm gonna start it again, and I'm going to either just do pattern on just the top all the way down in a short row heel, or do stockinette. So I have to decide which one I'm gonna do. I was hoping to finish this by the end of this month, so I would have one entry for the summer sock camp, but that's not gonna happen because this is not a priority for me at all. It's just fun. I mean, all of this is fun, but I need to knit socks for my grandson. He needs socks. And I need to finish my fragmentation shawl today, but I have Christmas things I'm casting on. I've been working on Christmas projects all year long, but I've got several things that I need to cast on. And so this will just take a back seat until I can get to that. So I thought I'd show you one, like what I'm gonna cast on next, the very first thing. So I mentioned this one a little while ago, this sweater by Caidree. It's the home sweater v-neck. And I had my daughter Nadia pick what yarn she wanted and what colorway she wanted for me to dye. And she wanted a sparkly yarn. So I have a, you can see a stellina. Oh, well, you could if it's up close and blurry. A gold stellina. Is this one gold or silver? It's hard to tell on this base. I can't tell. Doesn't matter. But then this base is, it's a DK superwash wool and silk. Is that right? And it might have, I think it might also have cashmere in it. I could be wrong. Can't remember exactly. But what's interesting about this yarn is I want to show you a comparison here. I dyed these at the exact same time with the same dye stock. So in one pot I did these, in another pot I did these. Now I did the same quantity. And look at the difference in color. Because silk does not like to take up dye. It doesn't have, you know, it's highly saturated. And my daughter wanted this color, and so I was really worried when I showed her this, and she likes it quite a lot. It's just a very beautiful like camel-y color. This is actually my nutmeg color. It's not looking right on here. It looks very burnt orange, but it's not quite that. So I have the yarn ready to go, and I need to cast that on. I was going to do a challenge for myself. I don't think it's going to work out to do just this. I was going to finish all my projects, cast on a sweater, and do only a sweater and see how quickly I could knit it. Well, I'm not doing that now because I kind of want to just not worry about speed. What I do want to be concerned about though is getting it done for Christmas. I would like to have it for her for Christmas. So since it usually takes me a long time to knit sweaters, I need to get started on it. So I have that I'm going to get started. I've got some other ones, but I haven't decided on the yarn yet. So I'll show you that later on, but hopefully I'll have this cast on for the next episode and we'll see how it's going. Okay, that's all of my projects. So now I've got some happy mail and new things that I wanted to show you. I've talked about Barbies a lot. I have a Barbie collection. I loved Barbies growing up. I went to see the Barbie movie. I made a Barbie sign. I was making a Barbie outfit. I know it's all Barbie, Barbie, Barbie right now. That's a rage with everybody. And it's not sad for me because I always loved Barbies. But I have a friend that I sent tickets to see for her and her daughters to go see the Barbie movie. And she sent me a little gift I wanted to show you. It's the sweetest thing. First of all, the card was super sweet. She had her girls write a letter in it, but I'm not going to show you that because that's personal, but it's so cute. So here's the little gift. Are you ready? It's a Barbie ornament, but not just any Barbie ornament. This one is Crystal Barbie, and I have, is this gonna focus on Crystal Barbie here? I have a Crystal Barbie colorway. I love it. I have a pink fluffy flocked Christmas tree in my sewing room that I keep up year round because I don't have anywhere to take it down and store it. And to me, it's just fun to have a pink flocked Christmas tree up. And I have all my Disney ornaments on there, but I'm going to put this one. I'm going to put this one on there. I think that's fun. So that was a very fun surprise to get. And then here is a new thing. This is something that I made. I kind of made. I have been purchasing patterns for Amigurumi for some time now, and I've got quite the collection of them. And as I go to make these projects and I print up the pattern, I do not like looking at them on my phone. It gives me a huge headache trying to look at the phone, and yeah, I could enlarge it or look at it, but I like to flip ahead and compare and see things. Like sometimes you want to see something on one page and something on another page at the same time, and I can't really do that on my phone, and so I print the pattern up. But some of the patterns are like 25 pages, and then I print them and you mark them up and toss them afterwards. And I feel like that's extremely wasteful. So I started doing this where I printed them and I would mark on them, but very lightly, and I could erase it, and I put them in these sleeves. But I have so many of them and still printing so many pages, I thought I'm just going to send it to a printer. So I have a friend who is a printer here, and I sent him the files and he printed this. Just a few patterns. So this is my Amigurumi patterns that I have purchased over the last couple of years, and that it makes me very happy because like I wanted to do mermaids, earlier this year. And honestly, the #1 holdup was the printing of it, because there were 3 different mermaids that came in this set. I'm trying to find the first one. That came in this set, and each one had kind of different elements to it, and I wanted to mix and match, which meant I would need to print all 3, and each one had, I don't know if it had 20 pages or if it had 10 or whatever, but I would need to print all of those up in order for me to kind of look and compare and find the different parts that I wanted. And so I just thought it would be so nice to have it all in one book. And especially if it's in a book, then I will take better care of this, and I'm not going to be making a mess of each pattern. Instead, I can make my notes on like sticky notes that I can put on it, or just write on it lightly in pencil, but it is printed on nicer paper, and I had every page printed in color. So this is probably the most pricey book I own because I had to purchase every pattern first and then print every page in color, and I had it spiral bound, and they did a front and back cover on it for me. So it is so nice. I love this. And then what I did is I went through, and for each pattern I have these little stickers, they're labels, but I folded it over the front and the back so that I could find the next pattern. And I can go write on these little tabs now, like what the name of the pattern is, if I wanted to, but I ran out of tabs. I kind of went down and came back and started the next one, and I got almost to the end, and then there's still more. I need to go get more of those tabs. So I am so happy with this, but this is not something I will be carrying around for a project on the go. But amigurumi is not one that I do anyways, because I have to focus so much on it. I have to count stitches, and every, you know, couple of rounds it'll be something different. It's not a work on it while I chat with somebody, you know, and visit. So that's fine for me. But it is a hefty book. I am so happy with that. Okay, it's time for shop news. What is happening in the shop today? I have spent some time, and I have dyed up some of my current favorite semi-solids and tonals, and I wanted to share those with you here. So I've got kind of a collection here, and I wanted to show you this collection here first, these 6. I think those are so pretty together. Those right there would make a beautiful fragmentation shawl. Beautiful. So this is cream soda, and this one, if you look, I don't know if you can see, it's not a semi-solid. It is a tonal with very mild speckles, but it reads as, when you knit with it, it reads as a tonal or semi-solid. It just looks kind of like an all-over color. And it is such a great neutral. It is my #1, not selling colorway of all, but of that type, but it is one of my most requested. And then I've got root beer barrels and taffy and elderberry. One is more blue and one is more purple. And sweet shop and sugar and spice. And so these are such pretty combinations. However you put them together, they will look gorgeous. I don't think that there's a wrong way of putting these together. So I really love those 6 together. Then, if you add in my Blushing Lilacs Fade set, those go so well with all the colors that I just showed you, and they are different but in the same vein. So you can see that this is a warmer and slightly darker shade of blush. And I've got like a rose gold. I mean, you can just kind of see how these go so well together. And they all would just work so well together, beautifully. Like this would be beautiful on the end, root beer barrels with, if you needed lots of colors. Ooh, let's do this. Oh my word, that would be amazing right there. A blanket, cream soda, sugar and spice, the blushing lilacs fade, root beer barrels. Amazing. I love those. And then I just pulled out a few more tonals that I have in my shop right now. There are some others. I didn't grab them all, but here are some that I'm enjoying right now. This one is Minty Sweet and Wedding Fantasy Barbie, which is just so delicate and lovely. Peaches and Cream Barbie. Let's look at these two together. You can see how Sugar and Spice is more pink. This one's more peach. Okay, the very last thing that I have to share today, especially for my shop news, is something fun, another discount. So I have a bin of mystery 100 gram skeins, and I just have all sorts of colorways where I might have one of this color or a batch of a color that's like a one-of-a-kind batch, maybe discontinued colorways, ones that may be like, I'm just like trying to clear up the space because I've been doing lots of new collections, so I'm trying to clear up the space. So I just went through and pulled out a whole bunch of my stock. I've got a bin of that are mystery skeins that I am going to be having a sale on in a steep discount. So not like 10%, 20%, they're like 50% off. So, but they're mystery skeins. They're different weights, different bases. So I will list what bases there may be, but it's just mystery as to what you get. And so normally the skeins would be between $27 and $29 each, but they will all be $13. So I'm going to be listing that, and it will be a fun surprise. So if you're someone that really loves like mystery packs of things, this will be for you. My kids always loved in the toy area where you have like the little pouches of, what are they, like little pet shops or Lego sets or whatever, and they're just little ones, and it's a mystery as to what you're gonna get. That was always their favorite. And I suspect that there are many of you that are like that as well, that just love a surprise. So a lot of them are semi-solids. I say semi-solid because with hand-dyed yarn, I mean, this looks like a solid, but when you go to knit it, there's always lighter and darker patches. Hand-dyed yarn, that's just the nature of it. So I don't ever call it a solid because really I can't get 100% solid like you can with commercial yarn. And so there will be like semi-solids, tonals, some speckles. I don't think I have any variegated in there right now in that bin. I don't think so. There might be one or two, but just wanted you to be aware that that's going to be in the shop. So I appreciate you joining me, and this has been just such a great couple of weeks, and I'm so happy to be back here with you and looking forward to all the fun new things I get to cast on because I've finished projects. That's the fun part. All right, I'll have no, I hope you have a good day. I'm like, I'll have what am I gonna have? Well, I'm gonna have lunch, but I hope you have a good day. I'll see you next time.